the Jets were a joke. They showed up against Dallas with no chance of being successful. This Dallas defense sucks, and the Jets offense did nothing. And on top of this, Aaron Glenn was this vaunted defensive coordinator who now has the worst defense in football. 1933 was the last time a team went the first 5 games of the season without forcing a turnover. That's unbelievably bad defense. 400 plus yards. They're just terrible. And you don't understand why. You have guys on the team. You have a top 5 corner in football in Sauce Gardner. You have Will McDonald, who's a pretty darn good end. You have Quinnen Williams, who's a top 10 to top 5 defensive tackle in the league. What's the problem? Why can't they even be competent defensively? Their special teams aren't much better. And offensively, they make lots of mistakes. Justin Fields is showing why every team keeps passing on him. Look, he's great against soft coverages where they're letting you throw underneath and getting guys open, and then they're playing some kind of like deep off man where the quarterback can run and get some yards. So his stats look great. If you had him in fantasy, great job by you this week. But it's a fantasy if you think this guy is beating any kind of competent team if the Jets fall behind. They can't put up offense. It's awful. And I don't know if it's all Justin Fields' fault. I don't think it is. I think it's the coaching. I don't think they have a good system. I don't think they are ready to deal with a quarterback that might be limited. Now, if you gave Justin Fields to a guy like Shanahan, I know Errol would hate me saying that. Maybe that's why I said it. But a real, like a McVay, a quarterback, a guy who's going to get a quarterback straight, he doesn't have it here. They're not good. The thing on Fields was similar to Jalen Hurts. They said he was a one-read quarterback coming out of college. Justin Fields might be kind of, not necessarily a one-read quarterback, but it's you're reading high-low, which could be you're deciding between 2 receivers. Or you're reading a corner if he's going to bail or he's going to stay up. Or it could be a safety, or maybe you have some RPOs where you're reading a running back, a linebacker or something. He's not doing anything crazy advanced. If he's supposed to look off one side play, if they're in a certain coverage and go to the other side, he ain't doing it, man. They're not having competent offense. It's really tough to watch. And if I'm a Jets fan at this point, and thankfully I'm not that my team's any better, it's slightly better maybe. And Abdul Carter's pretty damn good. It's fun to watch, but I don't really know what I'm thinking if I'm a Jets fan because that Cowboys defense is supposed to be terrible. And they couldn't do anything until the game was over. I mean, what was it? It was like 40, like they were down, 30 points before they started scoring? I know they only had 6 points going into the fourth quarter. So all of those points came in the fourth quarter against prevent defense. I think it's a top 3 pick for the Jets this year. Maybe that's what they need. Maybe they do need to get that quarterback. There are a few guys coming out. We know the South Carolina guy, Sellers. We know LSU's quarterback. I keep forgetting his name. Nussenmeyer. I was going to say Nussenbaum like he was Jewish. Nussenmeyer. There's guys. Carson Beck will come out this year. I still like Carson Beck. I know people are down on him. I still like Carson Beck. It's another year of him playing.
Isn't he on like year 7?
Dane Daniels played 6 years. You got to remember that stuff. It's a little bit different these days. It's not, we're not going to talk about him tonight. Again, we'll talk about him probably more on Thursday. But Mark Sanchez came out as a junior. There are other quarterbacks. Sam Darnold, I believe, came out before his senior year. Not always the best way to go. You do need that seasoning and learning how to do more advanced things as a quarterback. I don't think Justin Fields has it. I think it's pretty clear he doesn't at this point. They're going to need a big thing to change if that's going to happen, and they really need to create an infrastructure of an offense that can work with a quarterback that they draft, because it's pretty clear they're going to draft a quarterback high this year. Let's talk about the Giants. This is a different way to lose. The Giants decided to lose by being better than the other team, except for in the turnover battle. They put the ball on the ground 3 times with 2 picks. Jaxson Dart was running, just dropped the ball. No one touched him. That's frustrating. Skattebo had a fumble and then was looking at his gloves like it was the gloves' fault, like he's like a kid that played JV football or something.
I love, like, that's in any sport. Like, they drop one, or like in baseball, they look at the glove and then tighten the string. Like, that's like your first ever, like, it's like, you're not taught that, but it's like the first thing any kid or whatever, and you still see it in the big league level in every night from peewees to the NFL, like even in travel ball to the big leagues. Like the first thing they do is like look at their glove, tighten the string, like, oh yeah, it was the glove, not a user error.
It was just so bad watching as much as I did. I was doing a bunch of stuff that day. I saw the game go the wrong way. It all happened on the Rashid Shaheed home run touchdown, Speedy. He gets an 87 yards, something ridiculous to Shaheed. Again, just a broken coverage. Tyler Nubin does not look fast enough to cover guys at this level. The Giants are playing loose off man coverage. They're not pressing guys. They're not bumping guys, so they get clean releases off the line, even if they're standing on the line of scrimmage. When there are crossing routes, the Giants have 2 inside linebackers. Neither one of them are getting hands on them to slow down these crossers. So how are you supposed to cover if you don't have like the fastest safeties in the world that are just top notch, if you're not slowing some of these burners at receiver down? If someone just gets in front of Shaheed for a little bit, Nubin stays with him enough that he can't make that play. Or maybe it's not a touchdown. But that's what we see happening. It's a problem, guys. They don't play defense well. And I think the coordinator has a lot to do with it. But the offense making mistakes is just completely unacceptable. It's just, you can't beat yourself. That's not a good Saints team. Nobody thinks that's a good Saints team. Kool-Aid McKinstry is not a great corner. He picked off Dart twice in this game. It's just tough to watch. This was the game they were supposed to win. And in football, you have to win the games you're supposed to win. They somehow beat a Chargers team that was depleted. Nobody thought that was going to happen looking at the schedule coming into the season. But a lot of people thought the Saints game was the first win of the year. And then they play like this. What a joke. It's so frustrating. And the guy that I want to throw the most shade at is Darius Slayton. He's the guy that's been there the longest. He's the guy that ever since college, he's 4.4 speed. He's had a couple of injuries, but nothing crazy. He's always had the same problem. He drops the ball. He drops key catches. There was a flea flicker that they tried to hit after they gave up that big touchdown to Shaheed. It's a little underthrown, but my God, you got to make that play. It's a momentum killer, right? Like if you have a trick play and it works, that's the best. You have an 85-yard touchdown, that's the best. But then if you have one and it falls flat, it's like a negative multiplier. It can be real devastating. And they never recovered from it. The team just didn't recover from a couple of bad plays in a row. And then the offense didn't work at all in the second half. They were driving it, and then they just don't pay attention to detail. And again, who do you blame for attention to detail other than the head coach? I hate to say it. I like Dable. I always have. I think he has interesting schemes. I like how he gets people open. It's just, there's so many times where details are not being paid attention to. It'd be the same as like Jabba, like in baseball, someone who just doesn't really know how to do base running. They make mistakes on the base path all the time, like Glaber was making, a year or two ago. It gets you frustrated, and eventually you just don't want to deal with it anymore. That's what I see with the Giants. This team's going nowhere. They're a 5-win team if they're lucky. And we're going to get another high pick.